In the US, no Chinese restaurant food is complete without this little dry cookie with a fortune inside. Sometimes it's a fortune, sometimes it's a lucky number, and sometimes it even teaches you some Chinese. But one thing it isn't: Chinese. Now, let's rewind. It's the 19th century Kyoto, Japan. The original version of fortune cookies first appeared in family-owned bakeries in Kyoto as early as the 1870s. These fortune cookies are called Tsujira Senbei, which means fortune cracker, and they're flavored with sesame and miso. They're larger and browner than the American version, which is sweet with a vanilla flavor. The little paper fortunes are also found on the outside instead of inside. So how did they end up in the US and show up in mostly Chinese restaurants? The answer lies in 1882 when President Chester A. Arthur and Congress passed the Chinese Exclusion Act. Because of this discriminating law, the Chinese communities had to retreat to non-threatening businesses like laundromats and restaurants. Because of the Chinese Exclusion Act, now there was a demand for cheap labor. Japanese immigrants jumped into that need and joined the restaurant business. However, they opened Chinese restaurants, not Japanese. That's because the American flavor palette didn't like the authentic Japanese gastronomical experience, which involves raw ingredients. The American dining experience also usually expects a dessert at the end, hence serving the fortune cookies at the end of the meals in these restaurants. The Japanese Tea Garden in San Francisco's Golden Gate Park was the first known US restaurant to serve this treat. The Tea Garden sourced their cookies from a local bakery called Benkyodo Candy Factory, which claims to be the inventor of the sweet American version of fortune cookies. However, other candidates from Los Angeles also claim to have invented the American fortune cookies as we know today. The first is Fugetsudo Confectionery in the city's Little Tokyo. Second, Umeya Rice Cake Co., and third, the Hong Kong Noodle Company. The story took a tragic turn in 1942 when President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, which led to the internment of 120,000 Japanese Americans. Japanese American businesses began to close, including the bakeries that made fortune cookies. This opened up a gap in business opportunities for Chinese American entrepreneurs, and that's how fortune cookies have come to be popularized through Chinese restaurants in the US. In times of discrimination, Japanese and Chinese immigrants seized opportunities and created something that symbolized the Asian immigrant story of survival, innovation, and perseverance. This little vanilla flavor cookie tells the story of how Asian American cultures are blended in the American melting pot, when in fact, each Asian community has its own distinct characteristics and complexities.